Hello, I'm Nan Simonson. I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach who works with a group that we call a PowerPoint group, and it's points of interest that relate to lifestyle as medicine. I began nearly 7 years ago practicing lifestyle as medicine according to the American College of Lifestyle Medicine and their pillars of health. And one of the most hmm, I'm going to say easiest but most difficult of their pillars of health is to adopt a plant forward, plant centered, or even plant exclusive diet, which I did because I started out with four specialists treating me for things that were already going wrong, which would have taken a lifetime of medicine. I said no to every one of them. And that was about 7.5 years ago. And changing to lifestyle as medicine with a plant forward diet and the other pillars of health, movement, community, sleep, and stress management prioritization made all the difference because I not only healed myself, goodbye specialists and your darn medicines for life, but there are times I feel like I'm aging backwards, and as long as that's happening, and even when that stops happening, I feel like I have found the thing a lot of us are looking for, and so that's what I talk about in my talks. And I regularly pay attention to what others are saying, whether or not they embrace all of these pillars. And one of the people that I pay attention to, because she has some great pointers to life and happiness and equanimity, is Mel Robbins. And I'm going to link a talk of hers in the description because this podcast was helpful. I don't know if any of you have felt this way, but I'll just lay it on the table. Lately, I have felt hmm, just put upon by life. I've accepted a number of additional assignments with our clinic, Blue Zones Health, and I volunteer time with the Blue Zones Project. Our city is becoming a Blue Zones. And I donate time to our Janet Goski Foundation, which is a huge senior center. I not only donate, but also donate my time. And I'm doing a class series with them, Aging Powerfully with Lifestyle as Medicine. And actually, Aging Powerfully is the name of my book, Aging Powerfully with Lifestyle as Medicine Described. Uh, so I was taking all of that on, and I'm doing more in-person work next week, well, this weekend, in front of, I don't know how many hundreds of people will be there, but I'm doing cooking demonstration. I did one just a few weeks ago for the senior expos, and I'll be doing one next week for the Blue Zones Project and my clinic. There were just a lot of things, is what I'm trying to say, and I began losing sleep over it. I began worrying about the details. And then I found myself becoming overwhelmed by states of affair, the state of affair of, well, the country. Half of us feel so strongly about and against the other half, about the state of affairs of things that I shouldn't even be paying attention to. For example, when I cycled this morning, I was going through this beautiful park and I got obsessed about this explosion of grasses that some could call a weed, some would celebrate because they were covered with birds that were eating the seeds of the grasses, but they were growing up in their ornamental plants. And being a landscape designer for almost 2 decades, I worried, how are they going to get those out of there? In other words, taking on stuff, being open to the negative instead of staying with the positive, which we can choose to do. But I have found myself getting gnarly and gnarled. And Mel Robbins, when she began this talk, identified with that as well. She was saying that there are times, even sometimes it's seasonal, where we just find ourselves going down, and I'll use my word, a rabbit hole that we don't like the deepening uh, darkness of it. And so when she came on with this, um, and I titled it The Power of Mel's Seven Tiny Fixes to Create a Better Life. Her title is something like Seven Tiny Fixes for uh, oh, I don't even know what, but I'm going to include the link because I am going to simply give you these seven with just a few sentences after each one. I took notes. I've listened to it twice. And, but I want to recommend that you go to this talk and that you listen. You can listen at 1.25. I don't think that speeds up your brain too much, but it can get you through something at about, I don't know if it works out this way, 25% faster. Again, I don't know if it works that way. If you do it too fast, your brain gets muddled and it's almost worse to have listened than not listened at all. Um, and so let me just take you through these seven because when I heard this, I began applying whatever I can, and I'll mention a couple of things that I took from it. And you know what? It really made a difference because so much of what goes on our mind can be ameliorated with something else coming in and layering over that. I don't know if you listen to Andrew Huberman. He's terrific. And he says, a neurobiologist with Stanford, and he has a huge following. And he puts neurobiology, actually, mind, how our mind works out there for the public for free because he believes it's too important to keep these things sequestered in uh, university classrooms. So here we go. Let's begin with, oh, and the point of bringing up Huberman is that he says you can't change the mind with the mind. Oh, I feel so strongly about, and oh, I'll just change that. Instead, you bring in something new, something else to pay attention to, and quite often that can blanket over that. It can either shroud it or blanket over it, and we're looking for a better relief. So, number one of her tiny habits, replay the good stuff. Either on, and she talks about picking up your phone, going to the camera, and replaying times in your life that things, well, when you look at them, warm your soul. People, events, locations, situations. And then, as she said, well, first of all, she said it lifts your spirits, and that there was a UCLA study that showed that looking at old photos, looking at photos of our life, our past experiences, raises endorphins, and these anchor us to our life as a reminder of who we are. And we can do that anywhere, anytime. So replay the good stuff. Remember what mattered, and you can do that visually simply using your camera roll. Number two, turn your kitchen into a club. She says, I love Motown. She said, think of the music that you hear at a wedding. Everybody wants to get up and dance. So she says, turn on music when you're in your kitchen making a meal, when you're finishing up your to-do list in there. And it can be anywhere in the house, but especially in the kitchen when you're going to be there a while. Put on some music, dance to it. It's a mood booster. It snaps you into the present. And a New England Journal of Medicine study of 21 years looking for the sources of happiness, the reality of what makes us happy, said the greatest benefit that the greatest benefit of dancing is that it reduces the risk of dementia. Over 11 other modalities of movement, dancing did this the most. And again, you'll listen to her to hear the rest of this study, but also the deeper descriptives. Um, but she says dancing affects executive function, spatial relationship, coordination, and we can flip our dinner duty into a memory with music in our kitchen. So turn your kitchen into a club. Number three, and I love to have music on, but I've always had sedate. I love the Gaelic music and um, harps and things like that. Just beautiful music. And I followed her cue to really upbeat. You got to move when you hear this kind of music, and she's right. It really makes a difference. Uh, Learn people's first name. Everywhere you go, use this. Be on first name basis with people because you go out of your way to do it. And you can say, if you don't know their name, or if you know it and you forget it, what did you say your name is again? And then repeat it to them. Oh, Jim, I'm so glad to see you. And put it into a context that helps you remember it. Jim, how long have you actually been here? She was talking about people in service organizations or service roles that she sees again and again at certain places. And she could even name names because she goes out of her way to do that. And then she does something that I do, and she puts it in her contact list. She puts it under notes, but I actually put it in the contacts list. For example, I have a contact list neighbors. And when we pass somebody and I go on and on about their dog or their children, there's a man here that in the neighborhood that walks threesomes. No, that's what's that called? Triplets. Threesomes. He walks triplets. And two of them are identical and one is not. And it's just fascinating. So I've got his name and I've got the name of the kids on that so that I can actually say, oh my gosh, Jim, how are the girls? How is Sue and Jane and da da da? I wouldn't remember that otherwise. And yet it's not shameful to say, I am so embarrassed to ask you this, but I forgot your name. Help me remember that. I'd really like to. And then again, repeat it. So, Jim, how have you been? Or whatever to help you remember. Rutgers Medical School uh, said that that knowing someone's name, or no, hearing your name when somebody refers to you by name, remembers you, leaves that person with a greater feeling of emotion and physical strength, satisfaction, joy. So it's good for them and good for us. And let's see. Um, and you can even say at times, you know what, this matters to me. I'm even going to write it down. So love that. Learn people's first names everywhere you go as often as you can and use that. Number four, the power of showing up. When you think of connecting with somebody and you think, well, I'll do that when I have more time, or I'd like to say hi, but I'm on my way here, or I'm going to need an hour of a conversation. She says, connect anyway. Connect and um, actually, I think I've got this one wrong, mixed up with another, because you're going to hear me say that. This is connecting um, in relationship to anything that is going on with their life. The power of showing up. If they are going to be with a loved one, showing up at the emergency room with coffee or some kind of a snack, or even with flowers. Um, and letting people know that you care, showing up at their driveway if something rather dramatic has happened in their life, just to say, I just want you to know that I'm here for you. Um, it's not about the obligation, it's about the love, whether we feel like it or not, whether we're tired or overwhelmed. If we're there in kindness and love for another person, it shows that person that they matter, that they're supported. Research shows that showing up or sending a word strengthens bonds, builds trust, and it doesn't have to be fancy. It could simply be a short, even text. Hey, our country is being run now by text. So texts have taken on a lot of power and they can be very, very fast. Um, Notes of gratitude out of nowhere have a huge response rate because sometimes it seems um, as if we're being syrupy, but by the same token, you don't know what someone was feeling at that moment, and to suddenly be reminded of their kindness or their capability or their uh, uh, the relationship to you can make can make a huge difference. Um, it matters to them. All right. Uh, Cheer like it's yours. This is a good one. She said, there was a time that I couldn't do that. I saw your win, she said, as my loss. If you got the new kitchen, I wondered why I didn't. If you got the new boyfriend, I would look at my life and think, well, I don't have that. And she said a lot changed when she realized that when we can truly be happy for somebody else's winning, the psychologists call this capitalization, responding actively and constructively when somebody shares something good, can bring them and you great rewards. Dr. Shelley Gable of UC Santa Barbara did a study with couples and found that more than anything in a couple's relationship, the ability of that couple to celebrate the other person's wins and successes is one of the best hallmarks of how strong that relationship is. Number six, be an 8-minute friend. Instead of thinking, and this is what I started to say earlier, instead of thinking, well, I'll catch up later. I don't have time right now. I'll send them a note. I'll make a call. We'll get together someday. A Harvard study of 83 years said that most people think we will have a time surplus where we will have time eventually to get all these things done that we say to ourselves we need to have time for, and that never happens. Instead, there was an article that was written by a Jancy Dunn, The Power of Making an 8-Minute Phone Call, that had a lot of attention paid to it. And it has been proven to be so that even in a very short period of time, saying to somebody, and Mel said that I do this when I'm doing errands, hands free, of course, in the car. Um, Even if we say to somebody, I'm on my way to something, I'm almost there, but you're on my mind. I got a couple of minutes, or you can say 8 minutes, which doesn't work if they've heard this or they've read the book, or maybe it does. Um, and I just wanted to catch up, or I just wanted to say hi, or I just wanted to check in, or I just needed to hear your voice. Saying hi, I miss you. Research shows even that brief of a connection releases oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone. It lowers stress, it boosts resilience, and it makes a difference for both of you. And then number seven, take an awe walk. And today, I purposely, now there's two things. Get daylight in your eye first thing in the morning, one. Go out in nature as often as you have, two. Here's another one. um, do it without any distractions. Even better yet, on your own for at least, and this is the conversation between Dr. Huberman and another neuroscientist. Do it for 20 minutes without anything in your ear, anything meaning no sound. And that's where I get a lot of my learning done on my rides. When I'm doing other things, I'll listen. The problem is that our brain doesn't get enough time for mental cleansing, for directional executive function thinking. It keeps it in it doesn't work like fight or flight, but in the brain that way, but it needs more time for clarity. And this is one way to do that, 20 minutes every day, nothing else coming in. Um, but I didn't do that this morning because I wanted to hear this one more time in order to respond to you and understand what it was that impressed me so much with each of these. And this moment of awe, walk in awe, go outside, take in nature, bring in everything you can visually in an auditory way. Look at the sky, how fabulous it could be. Look at the trees. Is that tree older than me? Can you imagine how well it stood after all these years? Um, it actually, the whole point of this is that it takes us out of our stress loop and puts us into something else. Well, I had the audio on, but I still remembered to look for awe, and that is looking. You don't have to do it in desperation, but just looking around for a thing that, well, you could go, ah. I was driving my bike and I passed a shrub, and there were a whole bunch of birds, like a flock of these little, they may have been finches. I didn't see any of the yellow breasts, and quite often you'll see a mixture of finches with a lot of different colors, some reddish, some gold. These were all brown birds, but whatever. I was on my bike, I rode by this bush, and all of a sudden, this cloud, and it was like a cloud of birds, rose from under the bush and went right into the bush, just like that. And it took a fraction of a second. I was open for awe. And I looked at that and I thought, oh, that was just so cool to see, well, say nature in action. And it could have been a nothing if I hadn't been looking to be affected by things around me. And it was just a matter of knowing that I wanted to find something that um, could inspire me in one way or another. And it did, the beauty of nature. So replay the good stuff, turn your kitchen into a club, learn people's first names. And I do that a lot. And I believe it makes a difference. We go to a vegan restaurant every Sunday, and one of the servers is Gabby. I know all of them. We call in our order, and the order is ready when we get there. And there's a boy with a 10-year-old son, Gabby, who is one of the people that works in the kitchen, who quite often is at a table by himself doing something on his mother's phone, playing a game or something that he talks to while the game is being played. And his name is Matthew. He likes it when I say, oh, hi, Matthew. She likes it when I say, is Matthew here? And it's not to impress. It's because it makes me feel good to connect, and it makes them feel good because they are somebody. Um, the power of showing up, being there when somebody can use support, making a point of that, not because it's convenient, but because it matters. Number 5, cheer like it's yours, in spite of it not being ours. Pay attention to other people's wins and just let them know how impressed you are with them. Some people use the word proud, and sometimes that works, but sometimes they don't have their pride doesn't relate to anything that I've created, but certainly to be told, "Hi, you did a great job," or "Wow, I am so impressed," or "That was phenomenal," can really make a difference. 6, the 8-minute friend, be an 8-minute friend, take the time to connect. And then finally, take in awe, take an awe walk every day. And again, you can do it in the morning. You can do it with nothing in your ears. You can do it just taking in the world. And you've got a whole bunch of things layering on there. And that's all I wanted to say. So I appreciate your being with me. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and give it a thumbs up, pass it on, and you will get the link for Mel Robbins' talk, which is well beyond what I've given you. It's fascinating and much more deeply nuanced and layered. So take the time to listen and have a great day because I know I'm going to. Bye bye.